Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I'd like to call our February 2019 Planning Commission meeting to order. As a reminder, please silence your cell phones. Amber, if you will do roll call, please.
Dan Bennett.
Here. Here.
Here.
Bill Chancellor. Matt Lazenby.
Here.
Marcus Marshall.
Here.
Warren Ford. Nominate Reese.
Here.
Bob Reitenbach.
Here.
Thank you. If you are speaking in a public hearing this evening for any items on the agenda, please do sign in. And also be sure to state your name and address for the record. And please limit your comments to a 5-minute time frame. As a statement from the Commission will be presented with an agenda item by our Planning Department staff. The representative will have a time to present as well and answer specific questions. We will then open the public hearing, and this is an opportunity for you to speak about the issue. We wish for everyone to be heard. We invite you to ask questions and state your case. Please be mindful of the time limit and keep your discussion and comments relevant to the agenda item at hand. After everyone who wishes to speak has spoken, we will close the public hearing. The representative will then have an additional opportunity to respond to the public discussion and to answer any commissioner questions. We will then open to commissioner comments and questions and make a decision based on zoning laws and comp plan and the good of the community. At this time, I would like to open our citizens' communication. If there's something you are in attendance to be addressed to the Commission about something that is not on tonight's agenda, please come forward now. Seeing no one, we'll close citizens' communication. And now for our consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of packet meeting minutes from January 7th and the regular meeting minutes from January 10th, as well as 3 additional items. Mr. Cotton, will you please present?
Yes, ma'am. We just have 3 items on the consent agenda this evening. We've got 2 annexation requests, followed by a bond extension request. The first of the 2 annexations is the Clark annexation. It's about 8.5 acres in size. It actually comprises 2 parcels, currently undeveloped. You can see on your prox map where we are. We're in roughly the very southeast extreme of the city. You can see up to your north a couple of rural estates, Subdivision, Serenity, Pierce Chapel Road is also to the north. This property is on the south side of Sand Hill Road, which is actually a part of our future outer loop road. It is contiguous to rurally zoned property. There's also a good bit of property that's in unincorporated Lee County due to the distance from the city center. This is the survey showing the 2 subject properties, and we recommend that you approve the annexation. And here's an aerial image just illustrating the relatively rural nature of the property and surrounding properties. The Bolton Annexation is also on the south end of the city, just beyond the intersection of Moores Mill and Society Hill Road, where the Lazy Bee is located. This is a smaller piece of property, just shy of 1 acre in size, located on the south side of Moores Mill Road. Again, being out this far on the fringe of the city, still a lot of property shown in white, illustrating properties that still reside in unincorporated Lee County. The property is also within the Lake Ogletree watershed, and so you'll see that it's not only zoned rural, but properties in this area also have the Conservation Overlay District designation. Contiguity to the subject property exists to the south and west. It meets our annexation policy requirements, and we recommend approval. And here's an aerial image of the subject property. Last but not least, we have a bond extension waiver request for Ashton Lakes Phase 3B. This is in the southwest part of the Ashton Lake subdivision. It formerly was a part of the Tuscany Village, now Tivoli Planned Development District, and that's largely why you see that this particular phase is zoned DDH, because a number of years ago it was actually removed out of the Tuscany Village Planned Development District and became basically co-opted into Ashton Lakes. As our Engineering Services Department always does, they provide you with an exhibit illustrating and showing the Planning Commission essentially the state of development within the phase. An extension has been requested by the developer. The staff concurs with that extension request, and therefore that's why it's on your consent agenda. So we recommend your approval of the consent agenda, all 3 items.
Thank you, Mr. Cotton.
I move on the approval of consent agenda, including the 3 items as described in the packet meeting minutes of January the 7th and the regular meeting of January the 10th, but of 2019.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. We will now move into new business. Mr. Weintraub will present us with the Harper Avenue Focus Area Study.
Good evening. The first item before you is the comp plan text amendment for the Harper Avenue Focus Area. This is the 6th amendment to the comp plan since it was adopted in 2011. This for Harper Avenue was identified initially in the original comp plan as a focus area, but as other things, more critical items came before the planning department. This didn't get addressed in the first 5-year of the plan, and so it was held over from the comp plan revisions, and we wanted to make sure that this is one of the first items that we got to since it's been out there for a while. The area is basically bounded by the CSX railroad tracks on the north. This is Ross Street, so the urban neighborhood land use here, it's everything to the east, follows along Glen Avenue, pretty much along that area. And then this area along Dean Road, you'll see that in a couple months as part of the Glen Dean study. We did a lot of information gathering in this area as part of the plan. Looked at the current state of housing, the age of the housing, the size of the housing, and everything to do with housing and uses. We held a public meeting and sent out 205 postcards to property owners, invited them to a meeting that we held August 8th. We had about 50 people attend, got some pretty much positive feedback from the neighborhood. This was before you at a work session in August, and it was recommended that it be waited upon until there were the regulations for the academic detached dwelling units, which has now been vetted with you, so we're bringing this back to you. This is the first section, and you'll see the map that's up there right now. The current future land use is, we've got medium high density residential here, which is in the neighborhood of 4 to 8 units per acre. The yellow is low to medium density, which is about a 6 unit per acre land use recommendation. Then there's the mixed use office, which allows for some residential, but a lot of the uses are office geared currently. And then there's some high density, which the apartments up on Village Court. We are recommending the future land use change to mixed use 2 along the Glen Dean corridor, or Glen Avenue corridor, and up around Old Stage Road, primarily because right now there are mixed uses. There are some commercial, there's residential. This would allow for a greater mixture of residential uses as well as mixed uses. Extending the medium density residential over to Summer Hill Road, this would allow for more units. There's a lot of multiple family units in this area, so this would bring that land use more into line with some of the current use. And then keeping the low medium density over here along Florence and Village Drive, we found that this area had probably the most owner occupied, while there's still a large rental population, but a lot of this area is still owner occupied, and they're single family houses. I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, so right now, there's 4 items on this tonight.
Right, we're doing comp plan map and text amendment. There's before you, and then there's also zoning. We looked at zoning regulations as well, and those were also vetted at the same process that the land use. So we've seen these, the public's seen them in August. You've seen them at one work session and have seen them again, so.
Okay, so our first one is the 2030 comp plan text amendments, and it does require a public hearing.
Right, this is for the Yeah, I'm sorry, the text amendment. We got the slides backwards,
Okay.
I guess, so I can go ahead and do the text amendment, or since I went through the map amendment, if you want to hold a public hearing and address that.
This seems like a lot of material primarily because when we do our larger studies like downtown, Northwest Auburn, for example, or New Opelika Road, typically because of the complexity of the zoning and the size of the study area, the zoning amendments will lag a few months. With these smaller studies, we were actually able to gain some efficiencies and get it all to you at the same time.
And the text amendments, the map shows you the area, and then we talk about the text amendments, and we're just amending the text to sort of look at the land use, and so the land use is really the driving factor for the text amendments.
Do you think we should swap the two, or is it okay to?
I would go ahead, Tom's reviewed the map with you. I would go ahead and act on the map amendment, and the text amendment's pretty modest for this study.
Okay, great.
So that's number 5.
Yes, Commissioner, so we will do number 5 first. Okay. This is the Harper Area Focus Study Comp Plan Map Amendments that was just presented, and it does require a public hearing. If you wish to come forward, please do so.
Seeing no one.
Well, she's signing in, so that's why I was waiting. Okay, ma'am, you were not planning to just talk on this, okay? So, seeing no one, I will close the public hearing on this particular map amendment. And Commissioners, if there's any discussion.
Move on to approval of item 5.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Map amendments carry.
I guess I took it out. We do the zoning ordinance, we'll do the text amendments first because that probably makes a little more sense. So the text amendments, the text amendments primarily deal with changing some of the text in there to update it to meet this, such as the mixed use 2 previously referred to Bragg Avenue, MLK, the Opelika Road corridor, because this land use was part of the Renew Opelika Road plan. And so some of the amendments are to include wording in the text amendment for this area. There were no new future land use categories as part of this request. Again, we've got the area. There is a reference to as well, let me find the text amendments. A lot of the reason behind the land use change as well was the fact that this area has been a redevelopment area since 1984, and we have not seen a lot of redevelopment, and we wanted to look at making it a little bit easier for some of the housing types, a little more density. So we're addressing that. Again, if you look at the last page, the mixed use 2 category talks about this sort of being a link between the more dense urban neighborhood, urban core, and then going out to the Dean Road commercial area. So this sort of, the mixed use 2 bridges that Glen Avenue area. And then the other section is, now that this is complete, the Harper Avenue, what's in the comp plan, we'll do like we did when we did the update. Take the language that talks about why the focus area needs to be studied, move that to an appendix, and then put some language in that this focus area had been looked at. The outcomes were changing the land use in these certain areas and adjusting it. And I'd be happy then to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. The comp plan text amendments also require a public hearing this evening. I'll go ahead and open that if anyone would like to come forward and ask questions. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, text amendments.
Move on approval item 4 on the agenda.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now, zoning ordinance text amendment.
Yes, okay, I've got it right now, and I've got the reports in order. A lot of these changes are an adjustment to the zoning ordinance as a result of this study. You'll find some areas where there are some recommended just updates in the definitions. The zoning ordinance districts were updated. We created a new district as a result of this study, and it's a medium-density residential district. A lot of the standards are very much the same as the development district housing, so it is a primarily residential district. It allows for a little more density. It also allows for a lot of the performance housing styles as permitted, where the DDH or the development district housing is a conditional use process. We felt that making these performance housing styles permitted makes it a little bit easier for the redevelopment of the property. Multifamily, student housing, mobile home, manufactured housing parks are not permitted. They're not permitted in the DDH either. The tables to the special development standards and to the use tables in Section 4 is being updated. Section 5, we have some updates just to, again, to a lot of the tables, and I'll go over those in just a moment. First of all, the medium-density residential district, that is a new zone, and we have the definition up there. It is a district that's designed to promote redevelopment of residential properties and to provide a little more diverse housing styles in that area. The district is intended to provide a transition from more intense urban use into the traditional neighborhoods, so the NC districts, the DDH districts. And again, the performance residential standards will be permitted with the exception of the multi-unit family, mobile home, and either our new academic detached dwelling units when that's approved, as well as the private dormitory. The Corridor Redevelopment District, we added a new sub-district, Corridor Redevelopment East. We've seen this start with the Renew Opelika Road with the urban and the suburban. When we did the Northwest Auburn plan, we introduced it a Corridor Redevelopment District West. So this east complements that. This is similar in development standards and uses as what the corridor urban is. So we're looking at more intense development than the suburban or the west. This section was both of these districts are limited to the 5 unrelated, so they're not single family by definition districts where you'd be limited to no more than 2. We just included this in a planned development district. We adjusted the other districts as we add zoning districts. We sort of renumber things. At the table of uses, you can see the MDRD, the multi or medium density residential, is very similar, the uses, to the development district housing. However, again, these performance housing are permitted, where in the DDH, most of those are conditional. As we move over into the institutional uses, a few more institutional uses are allowed than what would be in a single-family neighborhood. The CRD, again, mirrors a lot of what the CRDU, so we're looking at the urban and the east as our urban, more urban zoning districts. And those tables just sort of reflect the comparative nature of the uses. The CRDE, because of it being a mixed use, we're trying to encourage sit-down restaurants, neighborhood shops, things that would support a residential neighborhood where people might want to walk to, as opposed to introducing things like drive-through restaurants, banks, that are going to generate a lot of road traffic. And then we updated the table where the non-residential uses, looking at the ISR and the FAR. And again, that residential district, the uses are very similar to what would be permitted in the DDH. So we just set a maximum minimum for those uses. And then the CRDE down here at the bottom, you'll notice anything in red is new language. Those uses are similar to what's in the CRDU. So we just sort of mirrored what was in those districts. These will be, since it's part of a planned development, there'll also be master development plans. We updated the language to include both the medium density district and the CRDE, because it's a CRD sub-district will require those. Just looking again now, when properties are developed in stages, there's a certain density maximum that's allowed before and then the project has to be finished out, so that table just addresses that. And then the big table, the 5.8, we just added the CRD into it. Take note that in the mixed uses are encouraged along there, residential, if it happens to be on those properties on the ground floor and they face Glen and Harper. The residential has to face the street, and then parking if possible behind it, so you can't put, the intent is not to put parking or have a building enter from the side. It needs to address the street. And here is a section in the parking requirements that talks about parking shall be behind the facade of a building. So parking lots can't be in front, they could be alongside of a building, but that parking cannot extend into the in front of the building. And I know that's a lot of material to digest. You've seen it once before, but please, if you have questions, I will be happy to answer those.
Thank you very much. These zoning text amendments also require a public hearing. It was a ton of information and whole new categories. And if there's anyone who'd like to come forward, ask any questions. Seeing no one, close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Madam Chairman, we've gone through this in a work session. We're not rushing. We've heard all this. We went over it thoroughly in the packet meeting,
Correct.
and there's no one here to speak at the public hearing. I'd move that we approve item 6 of the agenda.
Second.
Great, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Okay, and the last item is the zoning map amendment that reflects the changes from the land use. Looking at the map currently, you see this, a lot of area is RDD. We are trying to get rid of that RDD because everything in that district is conditional. It was sort of a placeholder. I mentioned back in 1984 when the current ordinance was adopted. This was put over there so that when plans came in, they could be reviewed and determined whether they conditionally fit the character of the neighborhood. I don't think we were really sure the character of some of these areas, and now we're starting to see how they're developing. So we've got that big section of RDD in pink. We have some NC5 and NC12 over here that are single-family residential districts. A lot of these homes are no longer single-family occupied, they're rental. And there are some duplexes in this NC5, so they're currently non-conforming. And the recommendation for the zoning change is we put that medium-density residential development over the properties to the west of Summerhill Road, and then the residential properties that face on the south side of Harper, to allow for a little more development density of residential. Again, anything that's multifamily would have to come before the commission to see whether it is compatible, but the rest of the housing styles, hopefully this will spur some redevelopment of residential since it's permitted. Developers know what's allowed and then go forward. The CRDE we talked about earlier along Glen Avenue, along Harper, and up on Stage. A lot of this is to encourage mixed use. We'd like to see mixed use development. However, it does not require that mixed use go on the property, but it certainly allows it, encourages that type. Again, the type of uses we look at would be restaurant, service things, shops, small shops, those types of activities. Road uses are not, a lot of those are not permitted along that area. And then up here, north of Old Stage, we have a mixture of, there's office uses in there, there are some warehouses, there's some contractor's office. So going to the CDD would allow a lot of these to redevelop currently as they are. If they're not permitted, a lot of those uses would be conditional in this district. So we felt the recommendation of going to these zoning districts might benefit some redevelopment. The area that was NC5 to the east of Summerhill that still has a lot of single family, we recommended that go to DDH. So anything except a performance single family housing would come to you for review to make sure that it is compatible with surrounding properties in the neighborhood. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. This zoning map amendment does also require a public hearing, and I'll open that now. If anyone would like to ask any questions. Seeing no one, close the public hearing. Commissioners,
Move on approval of item 7.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much, staff, for your time and commitment to this. Ms. Robison,
Good evening. This is a request from Harris Doyle Homes for preliminary plat approval of a 30-lot performance residential subdivision in Mims Trail. This may look familiar to some of you. Back in the summer of 17, all of Phase 9 was brought in. This is a sub-phase of 9. This is 9A. It's only 30 lots. 28 of those are residential with 2 open space lots. The master development plan for this area designates these as condominium flats and some garden homes. So the density is actually decreasing as part of this going to single family. The density for this phase is 1.59 dwelling units an acre. They're required 20% open space, which equates to 3.66 acres, and they have provided 6.24 acres of open space. It's just at the terminus of Rutland Road, which is Phase 7 of Mims. I did not receive any correspondence for this case, and we do recommend approval with staff comments. And I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
thank you very much. Is the representative here tonight?
I believe the engineer is here, yes.
Thank you. This does require a public hearing as a preliminary plat. I'd like to open that public hearing now. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners? Any questions?
I'd move on approval of item 8 of the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
This is
Welcome
the request for final plat of the same subdivision, same phase of Mims. Same comments apply for the plat, and we do recommend approval.
No public hearing.
Thank you. This final plat does not require a public hearing. Commissioners?
I'd move on approval with staff comments. Item 9.
Seconded.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Mr. Caldwell?
Good evening. The next 2 cases are preliminary and final plat for Clifford Stand Ridge. This is the Southern Ridge Estates. Plat, it's for a 14-lot subdivision. This is at the southwestern corner of Lee Road 852 and Alabama Highway 51. This is outside the city limits. You can see that Prox map that it is south and east of the furthest city limits. It's outside of the optimal boundary, but falls within the planning jurisdiction, a 5-mile boundary outside the city limits that we exercise our subdivision regulations within. This would be the plat, and as you can see, the Lee Road 852 on the north and Alabama Highway 51 on the east. Along with the subdivision application is a waiver for the minimum lot size. For properties that are outside the optimal boundary, but within the planning jurisdiction, there's a minimum of a 1 acre lot size. The applicant's seeking in large part to satisfy that, except for the 4 lots in the southeast corner. These would be deemed non-compliant and would necessitate the waiver if they were to be approved. The staff recommends denial based upon our regulations being in place. The reason we have a planning jurisdiction and a minimum lot size within that jurisdiction is to prevent density occurring outside the city limits in an unplanned manner with the assumption one day that the city would be growing and consuming that, dictating a future land use there that the city hadn't been able to plan. In order for the plat to proceed for the preliminary and the final plat, this waiver would need to be approved before you tonight. Again, staff recommends denial. Mark Hausler? Hoisler? Is the surveyor and I believe the representative for the property owner. I'm available for any questions.
Okay. I have a question. It just talks about a preliminary plat. But if we act on the preliminary plat, is there a waiver somewhere else?
No, so the waiver would continue on to the final plat. The final plat, if the waiver were granted, would simply be an approval of the final plat.
Okay,
That-
great.
does
I
that
just
answer
didn't
your
see a
question?
waiver. That's all I was asking.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you really ought to act on the waiver first.
Because the denial of the waiver would.
If you deny the waiver, it renders the subdivision moot.
Go ahead, Matt.
So in this case, the waiver is not broken out into a separate item, it's in this preliminary plat. It's part, okay, got you.
Similar to how in the past we'll have a landscape buffer waiver.
However, this is much more significant.
I would not argue.
Agreed.
Okay.
And here, the rest of the notes are here just in case if we did decide to go forward with it, then these.
Yeah, we went ahead and provided the standard review, however, recognizing that if you deny the waiver request, then you need not act on the plats themselves. Because they've been put together presuming approval, essentially.
If we pull the waiver out, that does not require a public hearing.
The waiver component does not require a public hearing.
Okay. Okay.
I'd like to hear from Representative Howard why, the reason for doing this. Good.
Very good.
I'm Mark Hoisler. Was the surveyor on this project. The owner wanted to put some cottages on lots 1 through 4, and out in the county, this meets county and state minimum requirements. It's so far out from Auburn that we didn't foresee that it would be a problem at the time, and it was also, at the time, we were told to there's a, I don't know that it shows it on this, but there is a elevation line that goes through it, that the north part of the property is involved in the watershed area, and the south part of it is not. And we were thinking that maybe that it was not going to affect these particular properties. These are going to have some nice cottages on it. There's a shortage of smaller, nice homes in this area, but there also are a lot of lots that are of this comparable size in this area. I don't think that it would effectively cause any problem with the city, with the owner's view of what it's going to look like. Do you have any questions about it?
Thank you very much. Whether to pull the waiver out and vote on that at first?
I move we pull the waiver and look at it separately.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to pull the waiver out of the preliminary plat. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yes.
Okay. The motion does carry, and we need to vote on the waiver, and the waiver does not require a public hearing. So commissioners' thoughts on the waiver to reduce it minimum 1 acre lot size.
I thought Mr. Caldwell fairly clearly explained why this ordinance is in place, and while I understand the interest in smaller houses, I think that actually does kind of contradict exactly what our ordinance states. So I would not be in favor of approving the waiver.
Neither would I. We have firmly adhered to approving subdivisions that meet all of our criteria because it's a technical thing, and this one does not meet it. So to be consistent, I think, and to uphold our fortitude that we have regarding that. Secondly, I just want to mention that just because there's other non-conforming lots in the area does not require us to create more non-conforming lots.
Any other comments? Or motions?
I'll make a motion to deny the waiver.
Second.
A motion and a second to deny the waiver for less than 1 acre lots. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Just,
Motion for the denial of the waiver moves forward.
is, right. The waiver was denied. Now, for the record, I would recommend you go ahead and act on the preliminary plat itself. Obviously, but with the waiver being denied, the plat cannot be approved, so you would deny the plat, but also state the reason for why you're denying the plat.
Okay. So, do I still need a public hearing?
Have a public hearing.
Okay, great. So now that we need to go back to the Southern Ridge Estates preliminary plat, PL case 2019-0049. Do you want to
Yeah, so again, just to rehash, this was a 14-lot subdivision outside the city limits in the planning jurisdiction, but outside the optimal boundary.
So Tyler, if resubmitted without the 4 smaller lots, would there be enough room there for 2 additional lots or just 1?
Yeah, I mean, we could take a look and review it. The numbers escape me of what they are exactly and how that could be reconfigured, but
You would work with.
we'd re-review
You'd work with the property owner.
I suspect we'll probably be talking next week.
Thank you. This preliminary plat does require a public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come forward and speak to this. Seeing no one, I'll close the public. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Now, not time to negotiate lots of lots.
Well, then we can resubmit that.
So public hearing.
We can't do tonight. We would need to apply. We'll take a look at it.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm if there was anyone to speak at the public hearing. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and reiterate that the waiver for the preliminary plat to move forward was denied. Commissioners, I do need a motion on this.
Therefore, I move, maybe you had the public hearing closed, right? Therefore, I move that the plat, preliminary plat approval be denied because it does not meet the requirements of a subdivision in our planning jurisdiction outside the city limits.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries.
Now, the final you need not act on.
Okay.
You can just move right along if you see fit.
Agenda item 11 will need no further action. We will move to agenda item 12. Ms. Robinson.
All right, this is a request for preliminary plat approval for a 76-lot residential, single-family residential subdivision. 73 of those lots are for the residences, and then 3 of those are their required open space. The property is located at the terminus of Judd Avenue and is zoned RDD, Redevelopment District. As I mentioned, they have 3 open space lots. 2 of those are rather large and contain floodplain and stream buffers and wetlands. And this will be a type of open space known as natural area, and that will act as a buffer against the existing neighborhood. In addition to the open space buffer, there will be a 15-foot buffer, and I meant to outline these, a 15-foot buffer on the perimeter of the property adjacent to existing residences. The density of the project is just under 4. It's 3.88 dwelling units per acre, which is significantly less than the 16 dwelling units that are allowed in the redevelopment district. The open space, they exceed that requirement. They're required 20%, and they have provided 26%. And the average lot size is just under 6,500 square feet for the neighborhood. We do recommend approval with staff comments. We did get a few correspondence from citizens, and a couple of those had concerns of possible environmental issues with the property. And the applicant plans on performing a Phase 1 environmental assessment, which will also be required for the development review team process. And once those results are received, staff will coordinate with the developer to determine what the next steps are, if any are needed. And I do believe the property owner's applicant or authorized representative is here, Mr. Marr, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Katie, obviously, we've seen this, and this is a property we looked at earlier that
Yes.
that had cottage housing. There was concern, I think, by the property owners that
Yes.
it would be an intrusion into a basically historic African-American district of the city. It now meets. The only reason we're really seeing this now, if I'm not mistaken, is because we have to review subdivision plats,
That's
right?
correct.
But it does meet the city requirements and ordinances and so forth.
And the subdivision
And subdivision regs.
Mm-hmm.
So we have no basis for denying it at any level. Is that?
That's correct.
There has been some discussion about whether, given our comp plan directive about connectivity, whether those two cul-de-sacs ought to really connect, and we might want to have some answer from Mike about why that was not considered.
You're welcome to speak now. I do have a public hearing on it if you'd rather wait and answer everything. Okay. All right. Is that okay?
Fine.
Any other questions? Okay.
Staff right now. So I'll go ahead and open the public hearing on Alberta Ridge Subdivision Preliminary Plat.
Good evening, good afternoon, Planning Commission members of the Planning Commission. I understood that there were very few comments. I want everybody that's here on that Alberta and that development, would you please stand just to kind of identify whether or not you're here for that reason. So the comments may have not come in, but everybody that you see here that looks like me just about is here.
They don't look like you.
Well, I mean, I'm a little better looking sometimes, but I'll give them the ups of being of the same ethnicity. But what we're here for, and we're meeting on this, because first of all, I understand that the comp plan for 2030, and I heard the planner say that there's a lot of money that was spent there. When Northwest Auburn plan was considered, we all was under the, I guess it was wrong assumption to assume that this 18 acres, because these people have spent their life earnings in their homes and everything, and we understand that this is an RDD, but it was set aside, and in the staff comments here, it was set aside for neighborhood conservation. And that's the last large parcel that sits directly, if you notice it, it sits directly in the heart of our African American community. The last thing we need is more of what's going on Canton Avenue and other areas. If this is approved, this gentleman, even though he may identify it as single-family housing, because of the zone because of the way it's zoned right now, he could put in those same type cottages that's being put in our neighborhood throughout the entire community. The other concern is, I pull information, and I have this, they ask you in court, do you know this of your own certain knowledge? 18, 20 years ago, before the EPA took over the health department's requirements to regulate landfills, this was a dumping site. These people here know that it was a dumping site. We filed with the ADM in Montgomery and with EPA a complaint. The elevations of this property has risen since the late 70s and the late 60s and the early 70s. There has been 30 foot of fill material put on this property. I pulled the topography today. 30 foot of fill material put on this property. How much of this property has been filled in? We don't know. Phase 1, phase 2 is required generally by the banks. But before the city starts to accept right-of-ways, easements, for streets, for storm sewers, sanitary sewers, and disturb this particular property, I think that this developer should be required in advance to prove to the city that this material, no one regulated it. It's not a brownfield. It's not like the airport. It's not like the soccer fields on Sugar Jordan Parkway. Has been cleared. Those landfills, illegal dump sites, they're open, they're closed by the EPA. There are certain regulations that has to be there. Now, I've been told don't use the word super funds because of leakage and items that are possibly contaminated. But there were several building construction sites that was dumping there. We have people that dump probably lead, asbestos, and other things that are there. The last thing we need in our neighborhood is to contaminate our streams and also our waterways, and to have a kid go out there and go hunting and shoot some little animal or bird and bring it home and bring some kind of foreign disease or something to us. We have fought very hard. These people have lived and our own property in the neighborhood and have developed there and have lived there and worked there to develop a quiet neighborhood. We were under the impression, as I say, we were assuming that a neighborhood conservation area meant that one couldn't, that RDD zone would not just continue to be there. 18 acres all over Northwest Auburn, all small parcels were combined and changed in terms of zoning. Every parcel but this parcel, which is the greatest threat to our neighborhood right now. And not just from the standpoint of housing for students, but from any kids or anybody in our neighborhood or anybody moving there. Right now on Pleasant Avenue, I can put my hand through a hole on a wall, in a wall of a house where the city had a dump. And the houses are settling, and now we have settling and erosion and depreciation of homes. So I beg of you guys, even though the council can't address this issue, I beg of you guys to have the developer to do his due diligence to the community, to himself, to his lender.
Thank you.
To stop this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
afternoon. I'm Doris Hutchison. I live on Spencer Avenue in Auburn. And I'm concerned, only thing I'm concerned about, and my sister and my two sisters over here and my friends, the type of housing you're talking about putting it on in the Alberta Ridge. You were saying single family detached homes. Now, what we have in mind is like Northwest Subdivision. Those single family affordable homes, those are the kind of homes that we are talking about, not the cottage style homes. And but I noticed that you talking about the cottage style homes are single family detached homes. But I am seeing that is kind of misleading. It's really misleading. Because when I go, I'm just going to say it like this. When I go to the grocery store to buy a fry, don't try to sell me a turkey and call it a fry because they're from the same family. So the single family homes that we're talking about is like, no, that like the house I live in. It's the house, a single family home with a yard. Not these cottage style homes. They've taken over Fraser Street, they've taken over Canton Avenue, they've taken over Draketown, they've taken over the back line, they've taken over everywhere, and we do not want them in our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Selena Saxton Collins. I live on 1112 Dunford Avenue. And one issue that I want to talk about is the traffic flow that will truly increase, and the vehicles coming over the hill that we can't see where my driveway is located. And they don't realize there's a stop sign ahead, so they tend to speed. And I'm concerned for the safety of myself, others, and mostly my two children, my neighbor's children, and their grandchildren who started driving and playing outside in the area. And in one particular incident, a car was speeding over the hill and failed to stop at the stop sign and kept going over the neighbor's yard past Dunford and onto Bird. And this is dangerous, especially when someone is trying to come out the driveway of my driveway. And I would like to request for a sign that states slow down or hidden driveway, limited sight distance, children at play, to help with these issues. And another issue is that over in Northwest Auburn, it's a historic area, and many of my childhood friends, classmates grew in this area, and my family, and everyone know each other. It's peaceful, it's quiet, and now it's being taken away for what? Loss of heartache, pain, and sickness. But now the people are persisting, insisting on buying up all the properties and have no care or concern for our area, but to build on their investments. And while our area goes down with no history to visit and reflect back onto, and I believe in beautification. I believe in a change, growth, improvement for our area, which should consist of ordinances, regulations enforced for all homeowners, and follow the keep up of our yard and surrounding areas, and pertaining to their property before closing, which include this blue house on Bird Street. I know when I had built my home, I was required to have shrubbery, grass, and everything, but this house don't have but probably a couple little trees and shrubbery around the home. And I just believe that we should keep it NC neighborhood conversation and keep it beautified for our community, because we've been there, it's historic. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward to speak? Okay.
My name is James Washington, and me and my wife, we just own property in this area. But she was raised in the area all her life. I'm original from a different area, but there have been a home. All her kin people have been basically sent around this area that we talking about redevelopment. Most of them have born there, they lived there, and they died there. And her mother still have property there, even though her mother's not there no more. Probably some of y'all might remember her mother's name was Romero Holly. But the idea is that it's like the last neighborhood that we have access to. Well, it's the last neighborhood that we assume that we have access about. And it seems that we keep saying the same thing over and over, but don't nobody hear us. Because if anybody was listening to what we were saying, then we wouldn't be standing here discussing basically the same idea. We might be standing here discussing about how we can fix the area, bring the area up to help beautify Auburn. In other words, this area seems to have, for some reason, been overlooked. I'm sure it was by mistake. I realized that it never was intentionally overlooked. But this area has been left behind. We have people that we look to for leadership, and if our leader begin to overlook us and leave us behind, what's left for us is an inappropriate lifestyle. And basically the idea is that in our area, you know, we just kind of portrayed as being, and I wouldn't use the word danger, but being not a part of the community. You know, we living outside of the community, doing things that is not appropriate for the community. Perhaps because our leader has overlooked us for so many years and just left us. We had no other resource to turn to by ourselves. Here we've been able to get the types of jobs that give us the opportunity to build up our neighborhood. Most of the jobs we've been able to get is low-wage jobs. Normally they don't last long. Soon we start making progress, we lose them jobs. We had to try to start all over again. It's not easy to keep starting over. Every 4 or 5 years, you know, things change. We have to start over. So our neighborhood, to me, it's in terrible condition compared to some of the other neighborhoods. We pay the same taxes. We vote for the same leader. We have some of the same ideas as everybody else have. We want the right to have a nice neighborhood for our children. When our children ask us, why is it that our neighborhood don't have sidewalk when they go over into some of their, and I hate to use this word, some of their white friends neighborhood, they got sidewalk, they got some kind of outside entertainment that they can do activity. Over there, we don't have anything. We just been overlooked and left behind. But now, everybody want us to just kind of move up from here up to there, you know. How are we going to do that with what we don't have anything to do it with? We have been asking for affordable home. We have been asking for Auburn to come over, the city of Auburn to come over and give us some development, help us grow. We don't have the ability to grow by ourselves. So, you know, it's kind of like we saying that, hey, we still at the mercy of our leader. I can remember when I was little, we living on the plantation. My grandfather would just tell me, boy, watch your mouth, because we were at the mercy of the plantation owner. It seemed that we have came so far, but yet we have so far to go because so many people is being overlooked. I realized that we're living in a time when people want money, people want power. Everybody want to be patted on the shoulder for doing a good job. But what about the people that you hurt in the process of you getting patted on the shoulder? What about the people that you put in a position when they have nowhere to go? They lose the ability to get a good education because they're outside of the good school system. What happened to those people? When we look at some of the findings around here, people have proven that if people don't get education, most of them are going to end up in jail. This city has the ability to change that. It seems like we just being left outside the system. Y'all have the ability to bring us into the system. And it seems like something the system would work to do, not that we had to keep constantly asking for it. If we are missing something in life, then perhaps somebody should sit down and begin to teach us so we can grow together. Either we're going to grow together or we just not going to grow. Thank you for your time.
Sir. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. I'm Barbara Pitts. Most of y'all know me. It's not my first time being here. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting over there by some people who have always tried to be interested in our community and tried to speak out about what we wanted to speak out about ever since we were children. I want y'all to know my one little jail record was speaking out about the injustice that was being prevailed on our people. So it's not like it's something I'm not used to. I'm not used to jail. I promise you. But I went. and I have some company over there that went with me for good reason. But I just wanted to say that, you know, it seems that we keep coming and coming and coming and coming. We have one little neighbor, one community, one area that's left. You know, they say it's supposed to be the loveliest village of the plains. This is the most monstrous, it's a monstrosity now. And so progress has progress. But people have lived where they live because that's what they want to try to make a good life for themselves and for them families. And it seems like I'm sitting up here listening to what everything is being said. Y'all just want to go right ahead and just overtake people's community with all these houses, this development that is eventually, what somebody said to me today, is just going to be, this going to be the Auburn University, Alabama. And so it's not fair for the rest of us, there are people who have built homes in this area or have lived in the area, whether they built the homes or not. And they did it because that's where they could be and they wanted to be. But now it seems like we just got extraordinary things that are going on. And that's something that seems like y'all have turned a deaf ear to. The environmental concerns that Mr. Jackson mentioned. People's houses sinking over there in the city dump. You know, we need to, that's not right. We let those houses get built over there in somewhere close to that area, and now you're seeing what has happened to it. I don't know why we keep coming, because I think our voices are going on deaf ears, but we have a concern that, and I'm not going to stop being concerned. I ain't go to jail because I was scared to be concerned. But I don't want to go to jail. Lord knows I don't want to do that. But I'm telling you that some way, somehow, somebody needs to listen to the people and what is going on around this community. And it's just one little section of Auburn that's left. And now it seems that the more I sit here and listen, I'm thinking, oh, they got their minds made up. They gonna do this because that's what they want to do. And then somebody came to me today and said, well, you know, it must be something else going on somewhere. But I can't say that. I don't know that. And I'm not going to put that out there, but I got some concerns. But the fact of the matter is, the people in the community don't need to be overrun with all this development that people are trying to have. And also the other part of that is, somebody really needs to look at the fact that it's some environmental concerns over there. And they need to be addressed. And they don't need to be packed onto and added onto. We would appreciate it if you all would listen to the people. The people that are coming out speaking are the people that live there, have lived there, and have planned to live there from now on. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Will there be anyone else that would like to come forward to speak at the public hearing? Please remember to sign in after if you didn't already. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Martha Letha Mitchell, and I live at 883 Zealous Court. And I didn't plan on saying anything, but with all this being said, I believe something under where my house is built, because I try to plant flowers and have a beautiful yard, and I just dig up everything. And my water in my house is just turn the toilets and everything. I have to clean them like every day, and I have had a house for years, and I have never had to clean my tubs and my toilets this regular. So I pray and hope that you all take this into consideration, because I'm where I'm at now, but I think that it's something under those houses. So, and I pray and hope that it don't continue to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Seeing no one, I would like to close the public hearing and ask the representative to address some of these concerns.
Good evening, Commissioners. Mike Marr, Precision Surveying. We are representing Dr. Corradino in his petition to divide this property. A couple of things I'd like to kind of touch on real quick. The concern with the landfill is a real concern. As a matter of fact, Dr. Corradino has had estimates from different engineers to take over the project, And all those engineers have said that part of this process will be an environmental study and soil borings to make sure that the soil is proper to be able to put roads on, put houses on, and also look for any kind of environmental concerns. I would probably add to that as well, this might be a real boon for the community. If there is something bad out there, this may be the thing that basically quantifies what it is, where it can be taken care of. But at this point, we're not to that point yet where we're doing design. These concerns about the landfill are design concerns, and they're not part of the plat that we're proposing. That's the first issue. The second one had to do with traffic. I'm not a traffic engineer, okay, but I can use Google Maps. And when you put a dot in the middle of this property, it tells you basically to get to East University Drive as quickly as you can. Whether you're going down to Dunford and out that way, or you're going out Judd Avenue to East University Drive. I really feel as though the majority of that traffic is going to be going to the new intersection at Judd. The lady who was here said there's a stop sign. Who was that who said that? Where do you live, ma'am? You live down on Dunford? Do you live closer to Richland or back towards Byrd? Okay, so chances are what this development is doing won't make that worse.
Can you address us?
I'm sorry. Probably what is affecting her won't, this development probably won't affect her, but it may go ahead and bring some light to some traffic issues that do need to be addressed along Dunford and along Richland and out there where it goes to East University Drive. As far as the type of housing, this is just single-family lots. It's not dedicated towards students. Now, it is in the RDD zone, which means, what's that, Forrest? 5 unrelated can be in the house?
That's correct.
And that would fall under the ADDU, is that not correct?
Yeah, that's probably worthy of mentioning based on some of the concerns that have been expressed by the residents, is that we are in a different place now than we were when a lot of those houses along Fraser and Canton were under construction. We have developed a regulation that would regulate single detached units on fee simple lots of record, separate and apart from single family use. We're calling it academic detached dwelling unit. It is being presented, which is exactly what those units along Fraser and Canton would have been classified as had we had those regulations in place. But that regulatory proposal's already been through this body. It's scheduled to be considered by the City Council Tuesday evening. If it is adopted, we will be reviewing every floor plan for every unit that comes in eventually to that property, if the property can even be developed. And if it is configured like the units on Fraser and Canton, I will assure you that the staff will not recommend approval of those under any circumstance at that location.
So ADDUs would not be allowed in this particular area?
I believe they're proposed to be a conditional use in the district. But I will sit here and tell you tonight that my department will not recommend approval of academic detached dwelling units at that property under any circumstance.
So in plain speak, if I might, the ADDU clause in the zoning will keep student housing essentially out of there, because the planning department will have the ability to review every floor plan that comes in to make sure that it's configured in such a way that's more attractive to single family people and not to students.
I might just, if I may, that was the primary reason we turned the previous submission down. And we listen, it frustrates me a little bit to hear person after person after person say we don't listen to them. But that's exactly because we did listen that we turned that down. And what you're telling us now is that there will be small single-family houses that cannot be academic unit. Yeah, so I get a little frustrated when I continue to hear people say, you don't listen to us. That's just a comment, not directed at you.
And Mr. Bennett, all fairness as well, someone can probably build a house and meet the planning's requirement and still end up having students in it. There's very little you can do to tell a group of people you can't live there.
That's absolutely true.
However, at the same time, there's psychological ways of getting it. I'm sorry, Mr. Marshall.
No, you're right. But I was going to say these now I think are a little better than what we had before, because these are fee simple, right? So you'd have the student, they'd have to buy the whole house. It's not a condo style. So in that sense, it's also less likely for there to be students in this area.
And the interest that we've seen in it has been more along the lines of Cypress Point, I believe it is, off of Richland Road, rather than it has been off of the Talbot, Grant, Canton area. So this is by planning's impetus and by the way the zoning is going, it's moving away from student housing and to exactly what the community wants. Well, not exactly, but it's as close as it's going to get, I think, to single-family residential. As far as I think that's about the best I can do to address the community concerns. As far as connectivity, and for the residents that weren't there, there was an issue about whether this cul-de-sac right here would connect to this cul-de-sac right up here. What we did in the process after the packet meeting is we looked at how putting a road in there would impact the development. And essentially, you'll be putting a road in with no ability to put lots off the side of the road at all. So approximately from right about this point where the cursor is, all the way to here, well, you lose 4. You lose 4 lots in the process of putting that in. Once again, I'm not a traffic engineer, but I put a little dot here, and it said go this way. And I put a little dot right here, and it said go this way. So I pretty much believe that connecting these 2 cul-de-sacs, the people that live in these 4 lots would be up here, would go to Alberta and down. And the people that live in these lots here will go down and out this way. I think as far as value for connecting a road, there's very little as far as traffic goes, and there's a cost of 4 lots. There was also a discussion about connecting Tucker Avenue right here, and this commission actually heard a condition or a subdivision for Auburn 57 where Seneca Drive was being requested to be connected. Now, Tucker Avenue, if you look at it, is a 40-foot right-of-way. We actually looked at connecting Tucker to Judd, and we realized a couple things. Number one, the amount of traffic that would come down Tucker would be enormous. And then on top of that, the road is only 40 feet wide as far as a right-of-way. There's no room to bring that amount of traffic down through Tucker. I would be angry if I were one of these people here with all that traffic coming down. What we did do is right up here, Zellers Avenue does not touch our property, but it does straddle the north property line if you look along here. So what we've done is we've pulled the lots back away from that north property line to allow in the future, if the city ever extends Zellers Avenue, to be going through common open space instead of going through people's lots to try to acquire those. So we're trying to give the ability, if that road ever has to go through, where we're not stopping it. And we've also included a pedestrian easement right here to go from Tucker out to the main road. It would require building a bridge, a pedestrian bridge in this area. But that's under plan also to go ahead and give a pedestrian easement in that area. Does that answer the questions of the commission for connectivity? Are there any other comments that the community had that you'd like me to address?
I would like to go back to the environmental issues. I understand what you said, but what regulatory authority does the city have to oversee that? I mean, will there be a
Development review.
I'm Megan McGowan Crouch, Executive Director of Development Services for the City of Auburn. Phase 1 environmental is very common in real estate transactions throughout the country and is the most commonly held first step in any environmental review of a piece of property, and almost all commercial property is transacted that way. So the Phase 1 takes a high up look and says what's gone on with this property. You have to do a whole chain of title, which is looking at every ownership in the past. You have to look at a number of factors, and you pull reports from services. This property was permitted to do some filling of the property, not by the city per se, but by the Alabama Department of Environmental Management. The city staff in the normal course of development review requires environmental things along the way for building demolitions, for moving earth on property, for building roads, and all along, staff would have required a deeper environmental look at this property. We had never gotten to this point with this project. So a Phase 1 environmental report will be provided by the developer to the staff. When that's provided, staff will evaluate with an environmental consultant whatever that report says the developer is going to have to comply with, and that may or may not involve any further steps with the Alabama Department of Environmental Management. It is mandatory and by law when certain things are identified in those reports that things move forward and progress under the manner of state law. We're under a public health, safety, welfare directive as a basic power of a city, and we will invoke that in the development review process. And this project will not move forward in development review until the environmental concerns, if any are raised in the report, are addressed and satisfied.
Thank you.
I would like to just add to that. I did a quick and dirty estimate on how much it would cost to develop this property, and it's somewhere in the area of $2.5 to $2.7 million worth of infrastructure and land cost. There's no builder I know of who's willing to basically risk $2.5 million on something that has bad dirt underneath it. So the developer also is very interested in knowing what's going on underneath that soil and make sure there's nothing harmful there and that the soil can be used to build a road.
Thank you. I have one question about, it says there is a traffic study required on this. Okay. I'm sorry, I've closed the public hearing. The other issue is the environmental phase 1 that would be a requirement for DRT. I don't see as staff comments. Am I missing it? Or should we add it?
No, that was done intentionally because that is a part of an administrative plan review process. In fact, I would recommend that not be made a condition of the subdivision approval.
Okay.
That's already well in hand by the staff.
And to reiterate what Forrest is saying, take the subdivision action separate from the development review process, and it is absolutely required in the development review process and will not, there is no way, we're not going to review plans until we receive that information, period.
Okay. All right.
I hear, too, Dan, it gets very sensitive when people say we don't listen. And I hear some issues or some concerns over issues that are unrelated to this project, but are significant and important and may have to be addressed by some long-term policies and actions on the part of the community that goes beyond what we're here to discuss tonight.
Yes.
I too would be concerned about my community. I'm concerned about where I live and so forth. But some of those issues that y'all are suffering from go beyond the purview of what we're dealing with tonight. What we're dealing with tonight is a specific subdivision that is, that I perceive meets our subdivision regulations. There may be a few things we would have done differently perhaps if we were designing it, but at the same time, it is significant. Meets those significantly, and the fact that the environmental issues are something that will be dealt with, or this subdivision will never come to pass.
I mean, based on what's submitted, we basically do not have the ability to deny it. I mean, it meets our standards, basically.
Bet what we asked them for and what the standards call for.
I'd kind of jump in here if I may, Madam Chairman, but engineers can design things to meet the minimum requirements, but not the overall goal of our development guidelines. That's pretty easily done. And I wanted the developer to have every opportunity to have as many lots as they can have and meet the requirements, but I think we ought to look at the goals of the number one objective in our comprehensive plan in Chapter 5 for transportation is the continuity of roadways and the elimination of dead-end streets. And not only does it affect the traffic, but it also affects the utilities. Now, this meets the minimum requirements, and we have no reason not to approve it, but I think in the final plat, there would be a big improvement if you could give some additional consideration to that connection, and maybe with those lots that don't face the street, which is not a requirement, there would be some open space situations addressed. And I just think that would be an improvement and be more in line with the guidelines of our comprehensive land use plan.
Yeah. I think everyone's pretty much said the same things. Basically, just to kind of rehash a little bit, just based on the laws of the state of Alabama, we have very narrow authority over subdivisions as far as whether or not we can deny and approve. And in this case, our hands are tied legally as far as what we can do as far as denying. We basically have to approve this. But I do want to echo that, there are a lot of other various issues and things like that I think the community, are valid concerns, but we're not a court of law. There's nothing we can do as far as this board here as far as addressing those. Additionally, I think that this is an improvement from what you had last time. Last time, you had the condominium styles and whatnot. Here, we're talking about fee simple lots. And so I think there are going to be less students under this plan than what we could have had before. Not saying that students may not come, but I think this is better than what it would have been. But again, our hands are pretty much tied legally as far as what we can do going forward on this particular matter.
Okay. So, commissioners?
There's not any more conversation. I'd make a motion, we approve item number 12 with staff comments.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 13 is Tucker Heights. Mr. Howell.
Evening.
Good evening.
Case before you is a preliminary plat request for a conventional subdivision in the NC8 zoning district located off of Bird Street and Tucker Avenue, Northwest Auburn at that intersection. Subdivision includes 2.2 acres and proposes an 8-lot subdivision, conventional, 7 of which would be buildable, all facing Tucker and Bird. And then this large flag lot here in the back is a non-buildable intent for a retention pond or a detention pond. Subdivision itself is a part of the City of Auburn's Community Development Block Grant Program, and the applicant is here to talk more about that if you'd like to know more. As far as the NC8 district is concerned, the density in that district for lots with of a minimum size of 8,000 square feet equates to roughly a little bit less than 5.5 dwelling units per acre. This proposed plat envisions a density of 3.69 dwelling units an acre. So it's below the minimum, or excuse me, is below the maximum, and it is also fairly in keeping with other lots in the area. Here's an overview. Here's the aerial. You can see that the lot here is currently undeveloped and has been for quite some time. Any of your questions you might have.
There's the size, you can put a pretty good size detention basin there. Is that going to actually serve a much broader area, obviously, than these 7 or 8 lots?
No.
No? That's pretty, okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter. This is a for sale or a rental program.
I'll let the applicant talk more about that, but.
This does require a public hearing, unless you have questions for staff now. Okay. Would you rather speak now or after the public hearing? Okay, great. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing concerning Tucker Heights preliminary plat. Yes.
I'm sitting here.
Yes, ma'am.
The thing of it is, how many houses are you all gonna put over there? I stay at the corner of Bird and Tucker. It's a quiet neighborhood. We're all senior citizens. And we don't need nobody to come in our community, cause any harm, because we are very old over there. And those houses over there, we hope that, they don't bring no crime to that area. And I don't mind the house coming over there, but just that we've been promised to have sidewalks and other things over there. And we, you know, it's just not a good place for us no more. We don't have sidewalks, you know, and I think when you put houses over there, I see we need sidewalks.
The sidewalks required.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Can you sign in afterwards?
Again, and I tell y'all one thing, I've been living in Auburn all of my life. They did not give me those 2 degrees from Auburn University. I earned them. I saw 4 or 5 more people that looked like me in a week when I was over there, when I first went over there. And it got a little bit better when I got my master's degree. So I want y'all to know I'm not an unintelligent person, but I am capable of misunderstanding some things. So I want to know, okay, in a single-family dwelling, is it true that 4 or 5 unrelated people can live in a single-family dwelling?
It depends on the zoning district that it's in.
Because I just want to know, because I think that's what we're doing. We're letting 4 and 5 unrelated people, and if they're unrelated people, it's not a family. And so I just want to get some clarity on that, some understanding on that. Like I say, I'm not the most unintelligent person that I've met, but I might not be the most intelligent person that I have met. But I just want to know that, and I had some other questions before then, but I just think that we need to look at what is happening and listen to the people. The people that are coming out speaking live in the area and would like to keep their area. Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you. Anyone else speak?
L.B. Jackson again. Look, my main concern, I own some property down the street there, and it is a concern of ours that sidewalks and crosswalks and things of that nature needs to be done in that area. And I think we're on a slow track to getting some of those things done. And since the city is doing this development, my question is there plans for sidewalk, bike lanes, or whatever? The other thing is that large flag lot that's there. Who's going to maintain that? Once these homeowners are there, who is going to maintain that property once it's there? It just kind of, there again, I'm like Mrs. Pitts. I'm not the smartest, but I'm not the dumbest person around either. Why was not some kind of cul-de-sac or something put there to enable more low-income and affordable housing in there? Because that flag lot and that open area, it's on, and you say it's for a retention pond, it sits on a hill. Water don't go uphill. And if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. It sits on a hill. I mean, what's going to happen to that lot? What's going to happen? Who's going to maintain it? It's going to be a wooded area for maybe people to camp out, hide out? Or just, those are the questions I have about it. It's a great thing that we're...
And we will ask the representative that question, absolutely. We'll ask the representative that question.
Sure. And that's a question. And why could it not be turned into some kind of a neighborhood park or something of that nature and everything? But to call it a place for a retention pond, I think that's playing on the people's intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for the public hearing before I can? Okay, seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Applicant, please feel free. Let us know what's happening.
My name is Alfred Davis. I am the Director of Community Services for the City of Auburn. One of our main objectives in community services, since we manage the city CDBG program, is to build affordable housing. We built an affordable housing subdivision on Northwest Auburn Village, which is a very nice single-family subdivision that provides homes to some 29 individual families. Well, this is no different than that subdivision. It is a single-family homeowner subdivision. Just not as many lots, 7 lots, but all of these houses have driveways to either Byrd or Tucker. Yes, there's a retention pond, but that retention pond is going to be taken care of by the city. It is a city's sponsored development. So we would take care of that retention pond. One of the reasons we don't put a subdivision in this particular development, it will run the cost up on the development and ultimately on the houses and the people that will ultimately occupy those houses. So one of the things we try to do is keep it affordable. And one of those things is don't add more cost to the development. Because as you add more cost to the development, then that means that the houses are going to be more expensive, and then the individuals that are living in those houses will have to pay more for those houses. So we look at all type of ways to try to keep that development affordable. There's not too many people building affordable housing in Auburn, but we're one of the entities that do build affordable housing. And these will be very nice, attractive homes. They will blend in with the rest of the neighborhood. The lots are comparable to the rest of the houses in that immediate area. There'll be landscaping. These will be very nice homes and very nice lots.
Will there be sidewalks?
There will be sidewalks planned on Bird Street, just Bird right now, but the sidewalks are in the planning for Bird Street. So there is continued development of this area with the city putting this wonderful new addition to this neighborhood, and we think the community is really going to enjoy having this development there. And I think retention pond, if there were some questions, and matter of fact, the retention pond is fenced, so you just can't walk into the retention pond. So we maintain that retention pond and make sure that nobody's going to be in it that shouldn't be in.
Okay. Thank you. Do you have
any other questions? Anything else I can ask about the development?
Is it not on a hillside rather than in a low area where they are?
Okay. Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
So the detention pond, he's correct, it is on the upstream side. We're capturing the water that's coming to the development so that at the end, the peak flows are the same. But that's not uncommon.
I answer one other piece of the detention pond. If you're just doing simple engineering, you put it on the hard corner right there where the entire neighborhood is looking at a detention pond at the best corner where people would like to live and congregate and have a neighborhood. And we did a lot of work and design with our engineering staff as a city to put it not at the corner of Bird and Tucker where we were staring at it. And from a liability purpose, we can't make it a neighborhood amenity. Our city risk manager, because the city's going to maintain it, that is not something we can do. And we were trying to face houses to the street. The other thing is a lot of people don't like living in flag lots. And if you had that one odd, gigantic lot in the back, then you're looking into everybody's backyards, into their bedroom windows, and you name it, from a different side. And so to keep in character with the neighborhood, this design was the final decision.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions, comments?
No, I think one of the reasons these lots look so large is the scale of the drawing. It's 2.5 times larger than the rest of them you usually see.
I commend the city for building affordable housing and doing it in the context and style of the houses in the neighborhood. I mean, from what I hear, this is exactly what most of the neighbors who have spoken to me want. I think I commend you for it.
Got a motion?
So I move we approve 2019056 Tucker Heights preliminary plat.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And item number 14, Mr. Howell.
All right. The next case is a waiver request, similar to what you heard previously with the Southern Ridge Estates plat. This particular
Can I
property.
pause you just 1 second so that I can hear you? If y'all are going to leave, feel free to now. Otherwise, we'll carry on. Thank you.
All right. So, again, this is a waiver request similar to what you already heard over at the Southern Ridge Estates. This property is located, again, outside the planning jurisdiction, or excuse me, outside the optimal boundary, however, within the planning jurisdiction, so it's required to have a minimum lot size of 1 acre. This is a standalone waiver request because the subdivision itself is actually an administrative subdivision. It's for 3 lots So that reason why you don't see a preliminary for it. The lot as it stands right now includes all 3 lots and encompasses roughly a little less than 1 1/3 acre. The applicant proposes 3 lots, 2 flag, and one central there. Like I said, it's very similar to the case you've heard previously. And staff is recommending denial for the same reasons you heard earlier.
Minimum of 1 acre.
Yes, correct.
I'm like Mr. Benton, I'd like to hear from the surveyor or the developer why they can't meet the 1 acre lot size minimum.
Representative, would you care to speak to the commission?
It's the same.
It's the same reason. I'm
I
sure.
know, but I just,
Okay.
for the record, let him stop.
Can we put the plat back up there? If you look at lot number 1, there's an existing building there with an existing septic tank. And the 3 lots were divided because of existing fences that were probably at one time separate lots that were combined into one. And if you'll notice, there's a adjoining property owner to the south of it. Part of that lot, that is the old dairy bar, and their parking lot is actually sitting on lot number 2. They don't own it, but they were using it. We're trying to clean this up, and there's a shed it may have been there. It's partially there now on lot number 2. That was just going to be a storage shed. And lot number 3 has a easement across it onto the acreage behind it. That's a landlocked lot, and that's why that was put in. This is kind of the way the current usage is right now. That's why we tried to clean it up and put it in this way. It's all owned by the same person and will probably stay in their usage, but they wanted to clean this up and put it into these lots. The health department has signed off on it. The county engineer was going to sign off on it until he realized where it was. I personally live in this neighborhood. There's a sheep farm between me and the city of Auburn that's never going to be put into the city limits. So I don't really see this being a problem because, as I said, this is the usage that is being used right now. You have any questions? I know it doesn't meet what you have, but it did meet what's in the county all along.
Commissioners, do you have any other questions for Representative? Okay. Thank you very much. This does not require a public hearing. So, Commissioners, comments, questions, or motion?
In the silence of the night, I'd recommend denial based on the staff comments.
Second. Can I add one thing before you second it? This precedent is going to kind of cause an uproar in the Beauregard community because people don't like this. They want things the way it is.
Leave it the way it is.
Just leave it the way it is.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Make a comment now.
For denial.
We have to stick to I think we have to adhere to our standards as we have them. If we need to revisit them in terms of this particular issue, if this becomes something that seems to be needed to be addressed, we can address that then. I mean, the policy itself.
Sure.
Which would require the ordinance change.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I agree. Okay, agenda item 15, Mr. Howell again.
All right. Case before you is a waiver request, another one, with, for a request to be relieved from a requirement from the commission on a previous preliminary plat. So this particular property, if you'll recognize, is the Wimberley Station Phase 3B subdivision. It was heard here on November 8th, in which the property was given approval with the subject to connectivity of two of its lot layouts. This is the preliminary plat that was originally submitted, and the two cul-de-sacs in question were located here and here, and staff, planning and engineering, recommended proposed connectivity through there. The applicant originally did not include connectivity because they specified this as a wetland area, and in staff's attempts to be able to confirm that, we were not able to confirm that it was indeed actually wetland. So we maintained our position as far as having connectivity for road connectivity. Here you see what we used through the Fish and Wildlife off the USACE. This is the particular subject area, and the closest wetlands stopped short. However, after the case was heard, the applicant brought findings from a study that was produced in May of last year that identified about 3/4 acre of wetland that ran through the property. Talking with staff, they presented those findings, and staff recognized the requirements that this would have to be mitigated if they disturbed any of the land through there. And so staff is recommending approval of their waiver with comments. Those comments include maintaining pedestrian connectivity through that same area. The applicant is here tonight, still? Yes. And is available to answer your questions. But until then, any questions of my staff?
What is a pedestrian connectivity composed of? Is it a sidewalk, bike path?
That is for during the development phase, we'll be able to talk more about that. A couple of different suggestions would be either a bridge or a path, potentially running across the dam of the detention pond that would be located in this area, which is right there, or some other solution. As of right now, that's not been dictated.
Okay. Any other thoughts or comments from the representative? Any other thoughts or comments from the representative? Do you have questions for the representative? This does not require a public hearing. Do you have any?
Sure. In addition to wetlands, that outline that you see, the triangle, is the existing pond. This plat that you're looking at now is actually the original design. This subdivision was started in 2004. It fell apart during the downturn. My client purchased it and is trying to finish it up. So we're actually using the detention pond that's already in place that is a part of those wetlands. So to connect those would be eliminating the detention pond as well.
We'll see that on the final plat?
Yeah, actually, if you flip maybe 2 sheets, you'll see the construction plans. We've submitted for DRT. Gotcha. Okay. Our impoundment is very similar to what you see there as it was originally designed.
Okay. Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Move on approval of item 15 with staff comments.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. No, not yet. Thank you, I want to say, to the staff for all of the Harper focus area study. That was a real intense project, and I look forward to seeing how that turns out. So, is there anything else for us?
I just want to let you know we put the final touches on your fiscal year 18 annual report. So that's something we've been producing just to kind of help you keep track of all the work that you've done since 2007. And so we sent it to print. We'll be mailing it out to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, we're adjourned.
Yeah, it was. I thought